It's definitely the experts. We're back after a little spring break. Been off for a month, but Connor and I are back and ready to talk some offseason.
What's up? What's up, everybody?
Everybody.
uh,
What's What's up?
hey, so it's me, Connor, and we're here to talk to you about the NFL offseason and also some other things. So yeah, like Sam said, we've been off for about a month, so it's good to get back in the studio here and talk shop about the important things, the subjects that matter to you, me, and the people.
Yep.
Yeah, hell
So,
yeah.
hey, did you see Jonathan Taylor's 40 time?
Holy
Pretty
bananas,
crazy.
Batman. 439, right?
Yeah, something like that. Sub 440.
Yeah.
That's fast.
Wild.
Which isn't surprise. I don't know why I forgot that he was like a state champion track guy in high school. I just kind of
He did track really casually at Wisconsin.
Oh, did he do? I didn't know. I guess I didn't know he did it.
I think he just did it for like one semester. He just like was running in a 4x100 relay, and it was like, yeah, I don't know, I'll do this.
Whatever, casual.
Sure.
Yeah. So him running a good 40 time, I guess, isn't surprising. He's just really big and kind of a stocky ass dude. Where you see him rumbling down the field, it's like, oh.
Yeah, well, I think the bigger surprise the 40 is one that gets broadcast all over because it's like one of the most popular, if not the most popular, combine activity. His agility drills were really, really good. And that's where people kind of had some hesitations about him. They knew he was a downhill runner and displayed that all the time at Wisconsin. But they had some questions because, like you said, of his size, he's a pretty big dude, 225, I think, and he did really well in the agility exercises, 3-cone, shuttle, and I think that's where he may have. I don't know if he leaped DeAndre Swift for RB1 on the board, but he might have.
Nothing else. He probably closed the gap a little bit.
Yeah. Which, I think those two guys are, in this year's draft a little bit above the next tier of dudes, and so it'll be interesting to see who goes first and who goes where.
Yes, it will be. I guess other than that, I followed the combine not at all.
Yeah, I didn't. It's really hard when there's
to it.
so many players.
Yeah, I'm really just waiting for it happened, I guess, and I kind of missed it. And then, what are some of the big names? There was no DK Metcalf, super freak workout, right? Or did I miss
There
that?
There was like a lineman who was like a super. I think he was Wirfs. That's the name. WIRFS. Let me go ahead and type that into the Google machine. Tristan Wirfs. Yep, here we go. Pulling up the combine profile. I'm pretty sure he ran a super good 40. Yeah, so this dude's 320 pounds and he ran a 4.85.
Oh.
Yeah, did 24 reps on the bench press. 36.5 vertical. These 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle drills numbers don't mean a whole lot to me, but 4.85 at 320 pounds. Goodness gracious.
Wait, how many reps is that?
What?
What did you say?
I said he ran his 40 at...
I thought you said he did some reps at...
No.
Talking bench. I had a video that
he did.
popped up
He
and was
did. He
yelling
did
at me.
24 reps on the bench. Still pretty good. It's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he was the freak athlete, though. Or Isaiah Simmons, him too.
Oh yeah, I saw that a little bit.
That linebacker from Clemson. Yeah.
What was his
Isaiah
40,
Simmons?
What was his 40 time?
Let me pull it up here.
Then,
oh, here we go. What if Packers could trade up for linebacker Isaiah Simmons? Love seeing those speculation articles.
Sure,
anyway,
fine.
Yeah, Isaiah Simmons, okay, he's 238 pounds. Did you pull up his thing yet? Don't pull it up.
Okay.
I want you to guess. I want you to guess what his 40 was. He's almost. Fuck. He's 439.
Oh, damn it. I knew he was fast.
He's 6'4".
Yeah, the only thing I saw about him was like, oh, he ran a good 40 time there. And then I think that Warren Sharp tweeted something. It's like, oh, here's a clip from the national title game where Joe Burrow's just kind of running away from him.
Oops.
And faster on a single play. It's like, oh, huh,
Uh-oh.
Because Joe didn't run a 40, but I guess he's pretty sneaky athletic. Would you say?
Yeah. What if Joe Burrow runs a 4.38? What if that's the number you guessed? We just don't know.
That's what I was thinking of. You know what? Actually,
Joe Burrow's 40.
That was Joe's time. Actually, that was the only really juicy draft story that I was able to sink my teeth into a little bit was the Joe Burrow hand measurement.
Oh, the 9 inches?
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody just went overboard with the innuendos.
Well, yeah, and then I saw a good ESPN article that was basically like, all right, here's like the physiology behind why this doesn't matter. That's pretty good to read. How that was such a super overblown thing. Hand size is not really indicative or correlates to anything.
As we may have guessed before the article.
Yeah, it's nice to see it written out and
backed by science.
And it's well, the only one example you need to make is Patrick Mahomes' hands is like 9 1/4, so whatever.
Yeah. So clearly,
it can be done.
Yeah, it's out there.
Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, real quick, did you see he was doing like an interview, or looked like he was on a barbershop show or something, and had the line. Yeah, I didn't really figure out how to read defenses until like halfway through this year.
Uh-oh.
So, oh shit.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't listen to the whole quote, so that was just like the headline grab out of it. So I don't know what the actual context was of it. I'm sure it's not as juicy as it was. I don't think he was just out there the year and a half prior to middle of this year, just like, I don't know what I'm doing, slinging it.
It's just more. It gives more credence to the Brett Favre comparison.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this guy out here. Brett, do you not know what this is?
Well, the best was there's that documentary from like 2005 or something about him, and he's like, I think it's Doug Peterson's in it because he was backup for a while, and it was just like, yeah, no, we're watching film and call it, oh yeah, hey, the nickel defense, and I just sit there and say, oh yeah, nickel, and then after a couple years in the league, I say to Doug, like, hey, what's that nickel defense thing mean? And he's like, are you serious? It's like, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like, oh, it's just when you take a linebacker out and sub in a DB. It's like, that's it? Who cares? Who gives a shit? Yeah, we were watching film. I was just watching the game.
Yeah, nickel.
What? I don't know what that means. Just buzzword.
It's interesting to, yeah, guys like that are clearly like digesting the game from like a completely different angle or like some other intuition. Like I'm sure he understands what is going on, but like at a fundamental level from this completely other approach, it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what you call this, but I kind of know what happens.
I understand how it all relates, but I probably couldn't drop the X's and O's maybe necessarily of it.
No, I certainly couldn't coach this fucking game.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why like Doug Peterson's a coach and Brett Favre isn't.
Right.
Well, that's not the only reason, I'm sure, but that's probably why Doug Peterson is has had some a good amount of success here as a head coach or as a coach, and even when he's an assistant, because he sees I don't know. He's probably more analytical and about seeing the game and not as cerebral with it, which is you can't coach that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Doug Peterson, I'm glad you mentioned him because on my plane ride to Arizona, I watched the entire last season of All or Nothing.
Oh, yeah. Give me a review of that. I haven't watched any of it.
Really good. I think you'd like, honestly, any team that did All or Nothing, and
Yeah,
I
probably.
think I could probably say the same for myself. This one, I thought I liked it better than the Dallas Cowboys one. What was the one after that?
The one after that,
It was the Panthers.
I didn't watch that one either.
Oh, okay. It was better than the Panthers one too. I think because the Panthers one, like the team kind of like fell off the rails in the Panthers one with the Cam Newton injury and never ever got back on. And that kind of happened in the Eagles, but they really like course corrected their season. And even though like from my perspective and certainly like a lot of other people who didn't necessarily pay attention to the Eagles up close, except for, in fantasy, I didn't want any people on the Eagles because the team was a fucking mess. Everybody else was like the NFC East is limping to the playoffs. And so I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. And then they obviously went to the playoff game and they lost and Carson Wentz went out and it was all very sad. But watching it all, like how it led up to that point was pretty interesting. And I thought that they kind of similar to how in the Cowboys All or Nothing, they had a little piece, a little expose on the national anthem crisis.
Oh, yeah.
That was overtaking the NFL.
That whole thing.
That whole thing. They did a pretty good job of involving more of the media in this Eagles one because the Philadelphia media was like totally relentless. And I imagine that's how they just are because of this. It's the city of Philadelphia. But as soon as the Eagles started losing and when they started losing players, it was like they could not stop talking about how terrible the Eagles were. Like there were a lot of good montages of people that were like, they should just lose the rest of the season so that we can get a better draft pick. That was like 5 games before the season was over. So obviously they didn't do that, and they went on to play in a playoff game, and that was pretty cool to have them like shut those guys up. But it was like the players acknowledged the fact that like people were saying this about them. It was like, yeah, I don't know, these people are saying we should go out there and lose. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna go out there and lose the game.
Did they put the clip in of the guy who like, what was it? That clip
with Aguilar?
Yeah, that guy. That viral clip.
Yeah, they did a little thing with Nelson Aguilar, and he has a pretty good attitude for a dude that just gets like shit on by everybody. Like he's pretty smiley, and it was really interesting and he seemed like he had plenty of confidence, which seemed like kind of strange for a dude who has been plagued by drops. And inconsistency.
Yeah, better than not having confidence and getting inside his own head then after the fact when that's all going on.
Right. So, I mean, it was a good attitude to have with all that nonsense happening. But, they addressed that. They addressed, I think I told you, Orlando Scandrick got signed by the team because they lost like their top 3 DBs, I think, at one point. And so they were playing with rookies and undrafted free agents. And so they signed Orlando Scandrick, and then they cut him one of the weeks, kind of by surprise, but he was also playing really bad. And then they addressed like him going on Undisputed and talking trash about Malcolm Jenkins and like the whole Eagles secondary. He's like, this whole team is living in the past with the Super Bowl. And so then they cut to the locker room, and Malcolm Jenkins is just like, fuck that guy. Fuck Orlando Scandrick. And it was like, okay, nice.
Moving on.
Yeah, pretty much. It was interesting, though, to watch how the team, like, at that playoff game, they counted up all the injuries, and I didn't totally realize. I think I did see a Reddit post maybe immediately following the playoff loss, but so they went down. They were down their starting right guard. They were down their starting tackle. They were down their quarterback. They were down their, I think Jordan Howard and what's his name? Miles Sanders both went out. So they were down to Boston Scott. They were down Alshon Jeffrey. They were down Deshaun Jackson.
Darren Sproles is also down.
Darren Sproles also down.
So Lane Johnson didn't play. Didn't Jason Peters get hurt in that game too?
Yeah, I think Lane Johnson did play.
Oh, he did play.
But Brandon Brooks.
A lot of time anyways, on the other during the season.
Yes, he did miss time during the season, a ton of time. But Jason Peters went out, and Brandon Brooks, he went out, their guard. And so top two wideouts, and I think Nelson Aguilar was either he was hurt or something. Their top two defensive backs were out. Their defensive end, what's his name?
Chris Long.
He talked about not Chris Long. No, he's retired.
Derek Barnett.
No.
Brandon Graham.
Brandon Graham. He went out for a minute, but he came back. He wasn't out for the whole game, but he went out for a little bit. And then Fletcher Cox, I think, got hurt at some point. So anyway, they added up all these like injuries, and it was like, Jesus Christ. Like, this is like, the fact that they were in spitting distance of a win. Granted, Seattle had their own like injury plague. It wasn't quite as bad as that, but they were down to Marshawn fucking Lynch and Travis Homer at the running back position. But the fact that they were within one score, and then in that same game, Josh McCown tore his hamstring.
Yeah.
So he should have been out, but he could not go out because they would not have had a quarterback.
3 shots inside the 20.
Yeah. They were there. So it was pretty, like, how it led up to that point, I thought it was almost like a movie. It was really cinematic how they painted the whole, it was like from week 1 through the entire season, because it started with like Deshaun Jackson getting injured, and I think they went into the season missing their like top 2 defensive backs, Ronald Darby and another dude. So like from the beginning of the season, no, not him.
Not Ben Wickery. Trayvon LeBlanc. That's who it is.
Crayvon LeBlanc. Yeah, I think he played. Anyway, I enjoyed it just because it was interesting to watch how the team rebounded from that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Hey, speaking of TV documentary series, did you finish the Aaron Hernandez doc?
No, I never ended up finishing it.
See your tattoo artist in there? Your buddy?
No.
Did you see the part, I don't know if we talked about this already, but where Chris Borland's on there, and he's talking about all the people getting shot up with Toradol when he was in college? Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that part.
I just like that when he's like, oh man, all these guys are going through hell just to play Northwestern. I thought that was a pretty funny side shot there at Northwestern.
Yeah.
It's just fucking Northwestern.
I didn't catch it the first time around, but it was, I was like, oh, Chris Borland here throwing shade.
Stray bullet there for Northwestern. Eat shit.
Pow.
That was it. I don't that for whatever reason that line just like that little moment just kind of stuck with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, the other thing I watched over last week was it's pretty. Netflix has a pretty good Formula One doc. It's basically the same as all these other shows. They just follow all these dudes around for a full season, and it's just funny to watch this very European sport. But like, as someone who watches NASCAR on a regular basis, just like, this is so different, but it is the same kind of. Oh, instead of drinking beer in Victory Lane, they're have the podium and they have a big giant bottle of champagne and they're playing the background music isn't country music, it's Les Toreadors from Carmen, from an opera. This is different.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
That's it. That's kind of fun to watch.
Something that I also watched that Sam also watched was Don't Fuck with Cats.
Yeah, you did watch that.
And I guess I don't really I don't know about a full like review of this thing, but I do want to mention this because so the other day I was doing music stuff with Bob, and then he was like, "Oh, I gotta go pick up Ben." And Ben's the dude that he sells vitamins, and he got in the car at one point, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like the whole time in this movie, the Luca Magnotta guy, he's like, "This guy reminds me of somebody," and Ben got in the car and I was like, holy fucking shit. You are the fucking dude from Don't
like
Fuck
physically
with
or
Cats.
just like personality, both, everything, mannerisms?
A little bit of both. Because, so Ben, I should just send you, fuck, I might be able to take a screenshot.
I'll make it the thumbnail.
So Ben,
I'm not going to do that.
Okay. Okay, yeah, definitely do that. So I met him a few years ago, and he was a pretty quiet guy, but he was pretty chill, and he was like, I don't know, nice. But then he was like, hey man, you should follow my modeling page. And I was like, sure, I'll do whatever you want.
Wait a minute,
pal. And then so I've been following him on his like modeling adventures. He like goes to California and like does all this stuff, and you know it's like okay, nice. And so anyway, I've been following him doing that for some time, and the last time that I had to buy vitamins from him, he was just wigging out really hard, and I was like, okay, you're kind of weird. I might just leave you alone for a while. And so I watched this documentary, and the mannerisms and like the lifestyle, it was like, holy shit.
Damn.
Like this guy is just, he's this person. And he sells drugs, this male modeling. He's like, yeah, right, exactly, yes. That's what I meant. Ibuprofen.
Dietary supplements.
And, correct. Whey protein is what he sells. And I was like, this guy is, he's like a, not really a doppelganger, because he didn't really look like him, but it was like all these like kind of like weird things that Luca Magnotta did in the doc.
You stumble across
it's like
20 Facebook accounts, Facebook fan pages for him.
No, I didn't see that. But his like poses even in like the male modeling stuff were like really similar to like the Luca Magnotta pictures in the documentary.
It's kind of like a thin guy.
Yeah, where he's like, he's like not really like jacked or anything. He's very thin, but like he's, you know, you can see some definition because he's so thin. And so it's a lot like that guy, where he's like, I don't know, like in terms of physique.
Did you try and look at all his photos and try and figure out where they were taken, and go on Google Maps and try and figure out exactly where it was?
Yeah, I did that. No, I didn't do that. He looked a lot like the guy though that he used that fake profile picture with the Santa hat of that dude that was from like a gay porn site or something. He looked a lot like that guy. Like Ben looks a lot like that guy.
Okay.
And it was like, I think that's maybe what first tipped me off was like there was that. I was like, huh, that kind of looks like Ben. And then I think that planted the seed, and then the rest of the documentary, I couldn't get it out of my fucking head that like this guy is kind of like Ben. And so anyway, it was really, aside from that whole thing, that was just pretty tangential and something that I was thinking about like this week. I really enjoyed it, actually. It was really fucked, but like I really liked it.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where I kind of had a similar thing many years ago when the Edward Snowden thing was hot in the streets. But like, I just remember, who was the guy that was on NBC on the news that said he was in Iraq but he wasn't? Brian Williams. Yeah, he was talking and was like, okay, well, if I look up, like, talking to Snowden, just like, hey, what can you really gain off of like a pretty innocent search? Like if I look up the Islanders score, it's like, oh, well, I can tell you're an American, you live in the Northeast, it's able to deduce a lot of information from something that otherwise seems pretty innocuous. And that was like, I got a very similar vibe. And then it's like, oh, they're taking this picture, and it's like, okay, we do a reverse image search, and we can find out all sorts of information, looking at the metadata and using all these tools online that are obviously really easily accessible for just a regular old internet user. And it was like one of those things where I was like, I'm not hiding anything, but it's one of those things where you look at someone else like really break down a couple of photos or a couple still frames from a video, and they can figure out a lot of things very quickly, very easily.
Yeah. It's kind of nuts. And I mean, I really liked that how they structured the doc at the end to be like, the whole time it was somewhat of a critique of, like internet culture. Like from the very beginning, it was kind of like a critique of how social media and like this mob mentality behind it and like mannerisms with online behavior. But at the end, they really hammered in the point of like, they made it crystal clear that, this whole like thing that happened, it's like because of the way that we are as a society and how we're approaching social media and like behavior on the internet in general. And I mean, it would have never really been a thing if like there wouldn't have been this like huge public reaction and online like vitriol like towards these like videos that first surfaced. So I mean, in a way, you can blame the internet as a whole for how this came about. So I thought that was kind of cool that they made that abundantly clear in the end.
What's the phrase? Like that they are. What's the phrase when you're a part of something by watching it? You are also like encouraging the behavior. You're not an accessory, not an accomplice. Well, anyways, I didn't like that how they at the very end they threw it back at me, the viewer of the doc.
Yeah,
I didn't like that part.
They broke the fourth wall there.
Like but on a more serious note, like that is an interesting thing to think about. Like, did these people chasing the guy, lead him to do what he did? I don't know, maybe, but at the end of the day, it's still on the dude for killing the guy. Can't do that still.
Yeah.
So, hot take. can't kill people. We're an anti-murder show.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's that. I guess getting into some news stuff. The NFL Combine happened, and we kind of discussed this before the show started, but neither of us paid a whole lot of attention to it. I think the biggest takeaways were the athletic specimens that we all already knew were pretty gifted to begin with, but we were talking that Jonathan Taylor may have jumped DeAndre Swift for the RB1 spot on the draft board.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Did we talk about this? Oh, shit. Fuck.
So, yes, if you want some more Combine
Cool.
talk, go back to the beginning. Restart.
All right. Well, cool. If we already talked about that, then we can move on to
I think the next thing on the docket
other
is,
stuff here.
have you seen this Don't Fuck With Cats documentary?
Oh, yeah. I have.
Boy, did that Luka
You want to talk about
guy
it?
remind you of anyone? All right.
Let's not do this.
Hey, check out this list of the... Let me read you the roster of the 2014 LSU team. I don't know.
Why?
I think we've done that in a previous episode.
Oh, well, speaking of LSU, did you
Number
hear about
7,
this
no.
number 7 thing?
What of the number 7?
Look up number 7 LSU.
What does that mean?
It's like apparently the number 7 is like a revered number for LSU, starting with like Patrick Peterson, and it gets handed down to like a gifted athlete on the team.
Oh, so it's like when that year that Devin Gardner of Michigan was the quarterback, it was number 98 because that was like a special number. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I see an article here. Oh, Leonard Fournette wore this thing.
Yeah, and Tyrann Mathieu.
So what's the what's the takeaway? That whoever wears number 7 is really good usually?
Apparently, this year, what is it? Grant Delpit had it, and he's going in the first round. He's like a DB.
Yep.
That was really good. I think Jamar Chase is going to wear it this next year. And
DJ Chark wore it.
Yeah, DJ Chark. Yeah, Jamar Chase is supposed to be wide receiver 1 going into next year. I mean, he's pretty young. I think he was a sophomore. But regarded pretty widely as he could have probably been a part of this wide receiver class going into the draft, but it's obviously loaded with wide receiver talent. So him staying another year is probably pretty strategic. But he's supposed to be top dude next year, kind of like how Jerry Jeudy was for most of the year, and then CeeDee Lamb sort of closed that gap, so now they're 1A, 1B at this point. Anyway, yeah, so that's the deal with number 7. I just found that out today because I saw there was like a news article on it, and it was like, I had no idea this was even a thing. Anyway, in other news, Tom Brady may or may not be playing for the New England Patriots. This is kind of nuts because I didn't think that this was going to go. I guess it's a long off season, so you got to talk about something. And this might as well be one of the storylines that gets dragged out. But I don't know. Do you think he's going somewhere else, man?
No. I don't think he is. That's just me speculating. But it's fun to like you're saying, it's fun to talk about. We're kind of in a lull between the start of the NCAA tournament and NBA playoffs, hockey playoffs, all that good stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah.
The stuff with like him and him
Yeah.
sitting courtside.
So he
and
might be going
FaceTiming
somewhere.
with Mike Vrabel. That's noteworthy. I don't think it means anything, but
It was interesting in the wake of the Titans announcing that they were going to franchise tag, I think did they say they're going to franchise tag Derrick Henry? I think they said that, and then that they were maybe going to let Ryan Tannehill test free agency.
That's smart.
Yeah. So, that being said, thought it was interesting just to that came up, and then I think the Titans news came out, which was pretty noteworthy. But yeah, it was. I don't know. It's kind of funny just because I feel like this is going to happen,
Right,
and then he's going to end up in New England.
And that's exactly what my thought is. There's going to be all this hubbubaloo about, where is he going, and then it's going to be a cold business decision that we're just going to stay put, even though because this has been going on. This goes back a while, like a year ago when he put his house in Massachusetts up for sale, and that was a big to do, knowing that it was the last year of his contract. And
I mean, there were seeds of this planted way back when all the bullshit went down with the Jimmy Garoppolo trade, and it was this was apparently a decision made on the side by Tom Brady and Robert Kraft, and Bill Belichick didn't like this, and it created a rift between them. All this weird stuff that happened back when Jimmy G got traded, and so I don't know. There's it comes up, and it's are they gonna move on because Bill Belichick wants to prove that he can win without Tom Brady, which I think he already has at this point. Matt Castle.
Those couple of games that Jimmy Garoppolo played when he was suspended. Yeah.
Jacoby Brisket. Yeah. And then, the other side, Tom wants to prove that he's, the GOAT, can play anywhere, even when he's 40.
Are seemingly kind of childish if we're just doing it to prove that you don't need the other person. Who cares?
I mean,
no,
right.
No one's saying that you're not. That you're not
right.
Greatest head coach, greatest quarterback, or one of a select handful, if that. There's no argument to be made that they're not top 5 at their position or coaching rank ever.
Yeah. And you have to imagine if a couple of dudes like us can deduce that possibly one of the greatest quarterback and coach tandems, who are much older and wiser than the two of us, probably have thought similar things, that they probably aren't thinking those kinds of shallow reasons for trying to bolster their reputation and or career.
But yes,
at this point in their lives.
Unlike you and I, these are two extremely hyper-competitive, super mega alpha dudes who, which we're not quite that. So maybe this, their competitor is makes them do this end of this nice, and the reign of the 20+ year reign, or their 20+ year marriage. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
it's
possible.
Fun to talk about, I guess, if he's gonna go to the Raiders or the Niners and reunite with Jimmy Garoppolo, or go to Tennessee here or whatever.
Well, in other news, a real move that's happening is Phillip Rivers.
LA.
Phillip Rivers. Yeah, he has moved on. Which is interesting. Just, I mean, that quarterback class is dissolving here with Eli Manning retiring. Ben Roethlisberger is on his last leg, you have to imagine. He didn't play at all last year, so it was kind of interesting to watch the season without him because it was kind of like he retired with Mason Rudolph and
looks like he's retired.
Duck Hodges out there.
Lately of him with his big bushy beard. He doesn't He doesn't have a face of a guy that's like, yeah, I'm gonna go sling it in the league still.
Yeah.
Well, neither does Ryan Tannehill, or I'm not Ryan Tannehill, Ryan Fitzpatrick. But
yeah, so there's all kinds of Philip Rivers is he's been linked to the Colts, I think. You could say he's been linked to all these kinds of teams, I guess, because I don't think teams are actually supposed to be negotiating quite yet. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see him in a new uniform just because he's been a Charger all this time and I feel like he's faced the franchise for a generation here. So seeing him move on.
It's so weird when you think back, like, and you see those old highlights of Drew Brees when he was starting ahead of him. What a time.
Yeah.
You always think of Drew Brees as a Saint, but he played for a couple of years in San Diego.
Yeah. That's it. It was pretty funny because here was an article that came out where I think somebody must have asked Drew Brees if he was moving on from the Saints or thinking about playing elsewhere, and he's like, I think he responded with, absolutely not. I'm a Saint for life. And somebody immediately in the comments was like, except for that one time you were in San Diego, go Bolts.
Yeah, Brett Favre, Packer for life. Well, except for that time you played for the Falcons.
Almost. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of changes that are happening. I feel like there's a big quarterback carousel almost every year, but this year it feels like there's a lot of names to keep track of.
Noteworthy names that are very old.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. It's weird. It feels weird to try and shoehorn them in, and like Philip Rivers, I have no clue on. I know the Tom Brady one, him being linked to the Titans and the Raiders is. Well, I don't know. I've just heard it a bunch. It doesn't mean anything, but those two, I guess, wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah.
Where I don't know. Philip Rivers kind of is the second big name in this thing, and just kind of not as interesting to speculate upon his future. But
I think you're forgetting about big name Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I am. As a matter of fact, I am.
I think you're forgetting about big name Nick Foles.
Well, Nick Foles is going back to Philly.
I think you're forgetting about big name Josh Rosen.
Yeah. I think
you're forgetting about big name Dwayne
Josh
Haskins.
Rosen for a second. Do you think he plays in the XFL next year?
Yeah. Dude, I kind of want to see him do something because I feel like I'm the meme like with the guy with the stick.
Somebody let him play. Free Josh Rosen.
Like he was such a fucking cock coming out of the draft, and then he just he's been kind of shafted. I don't really blame him because the Cardinals just kind of threw him away. Like another meme here, it's the Andy. I don't want to play with you anymore.
And the Dolphins said. We'll
and then the Dolphins kind of did the same thing.
Pass.
Yeah. Don't like what I see out there. Like, the wild card Fitzpatrick is... Like, that's saying something. Like, the fact that guy gives you more stability than, this...
Yeah, this
unshapen foundation
is worth our time more than this younger high draft pick that... I guess would seem to have much more. Well, definitely has much more upside.
Right. You got to think that a guy who's not a 37-year-old quarterback probably has more untapped
beat
potential.
By a nerd from Harvard.
But
you beat out. Bro, you went to USC.
Yeah.
Wait, no, he didn't go to USC. Yeah, whatever. Close enough.
It's a UCLA. Whenever I think of Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think of let me copy this link address here real quick. His quarterback style is it's like, jeez. Hopefully that does you justice there. Feel like that's his quarterback style, is that GIF from him with the Buccaneers.
What is he saying? I can't read his lips. Oh.
I don't know what he's saying, but it's his crazy eyes. Yeah. I think I remember seeing that live, and I can't remember what happened, if he rushed for a touchdown or if he threw a touchdown, but he just did that. I remember seeing that, and it was like, Jesus Christ, this is a man who's lost all control. And that's not true. It's not like he's out there floundering about and doesn't know what he's doing. He's obviously a very intelligent individual, but it just seems like he's slinging the rock or throwing, back from his days with the Jets when he threw 5 or 6 interceptions in a game.
I think,
or I guess you could say that about his days with the Buccaneers as well.
Or his time with the Bills, or his time with the Rams.
Anyway. Yeah, so
Jameis Winston got, speaking of the Buccaneers, Jameis Winston got LASIK.
Yeah, that is also news. And that was pretty interesting hearing talk show people talk about that, because it was that was a pretty relatively inexpensive way to boost your stock. Very passive way to boost your stock, because it was a storyline that was talked about all the time, that his vision was impaired, and then it's oh, well, happenstance in his contract year I got LASIK, so my vision is
you gonna quit on me now?
Probably better, because I had surgery, right? Yeah, exactly. It was interesting, because it was oh yeah, I mean, there might be people who call bullshit on that, but I mean,
what's the
you
downside?
You didn't really do anything.
The only downside is, well, why the hell didn't you do that?
Exactly.
A couple years ago?
I don't know.
I can see clearly now.
Thought I could see just fine, but now I can see better. Exactly.
I like all the stuff out there that was, man.
Yeah. So
Jameis Winston, he couldn't see, and he still threw for 5,000 yards. All-time great. Mr. 30-30.
30-30. Incredible. See, it's a storyline that you want to see, yeah, fuck. I think this is just something they talked about on Part of My Take, where, yeah, they either want to see him crash and burn or throw for 1 billion touchdowns. Don't want to see him go into the league and all right, well, now I can see people on these intermediate level routes. I'm going to throw some safe passes. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I didn't see that guy out in the flat this whole time.
Or is that you?
Ronald Jones, you've been out there that whole time?
Oh. Yeah, or
dang.
Yeah, he hates for him to morph into Josh. Have the Josh
see you over there
where he goes, the 8 for 20, 66 yards, and a pick, and a very innocuous interception.
Yeah,
that's not fun.
Yeah. No.
We want consecutive pick six Jameis, or
no,
or
yeah.
Fuck it, I'm throwing it deep to Mike Evans and he's gonna get it. No middle ground.
Yeah. It's interesting with, I mean, the fact that Chris Godwin and Mike Evans were just both balling out last year.
Both wilding out there. Boolin in the secondary.
Man. Boolin, straight Boolin. I kind of wanted to talk about the CBA at the beginning of this thing, but I don't really want to talk about it.
It's out to vote right now, and apparently it's expected to pass, but some of the big name guys have come out of that are saying they're going to vote no. So I guess we'll see. Simple majority is all they need to ratify it. Is ratify the right word? Make it go.
Yeah, apparently.
to pass it,
ratify
it,
to legislate it. In order for this to move into the Senate.
Oh, did you see that thing on I don't know what news network it was, but after Mike Bloomberg dropped out of the race, he spent $500 million. He could, that's so much money. He could have given every single American $1 million. Some pundit was saying that, and that's not how the math works out.
Not exactly. You can just go on TV and say anything.
Wait a minute.
If you say with enough conviction,
There's more
it's
than
true.
500 people in the U.S., right?
There was a good... There's more than 500 people in the U.S., right? There is this meme page that I started following, and it's these dudes, and let me see if I can find it real quick. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Anyway, it's these dudes, and they just do, like, dumb stuff. Like, their last Instagram video was they went to a Ted Cruz rally and tried to exorcise him using a mirror.
Oh.
They stood up in the middle of the rally, and they were not, they tried to exorcise him with, like a crucifix,
not like exercise
and
class.
This mirror.
They didn't try and get him on a didn't try and get him on a stationary bike with a
they didn't
mirror?
do, like, step aerobics.
Look, you need to exercise. Look at yourself.
Yeah, no, didn't try to get him on a Peloton. Yeah. Well, they held up this mirror, and they were like, look at how ugly you are, demon! Like, you understand what you've done to this poor soul's body! They're yelling this in the rally. Anyway, with Mike Bloomberg, they made fun of the fact that Mike Bloomberg was doing like meme and like using like internet account like advertisements. Like they use Fuck Jerry, the same people that did like the Firefest. Yeah. He hired them, and so they made fun of the fact that he was like using meme campaigns to try to be more like in the know with millennials and Gen Z people. And so they made a lot of like memes with like just like text message screenshot stuff. And so the last one here, when he finally dropped out, it was a really good meme. It was just a text from Mikey Bloomberg, and it was him texting, "What cost $500 million and sucks? My presidential campaign run."
It's very on the nose.
And that was it. Like it was like that was it's like this is a dumb meme, but I laughed. And these guys, they do this thing where they'll create like mock statues, like statues that are making fun of somebody doing something, and so they made fun of, I think it's usually stuff that pops up in the news. So there was one thing with like Donald Trump was really mad about Confederate statues getting torn down. So they made a bunch of little they live in New York, and so they make statues and they like put them in like public places in New York. So they made a statue of like this thing that happened in the news, and there was one that they did of like Mike Bloomberg. So he had a controversial stop and frisk policy when he was the mayor, and a lot of people criticized him for that policy, and this policy came up during his presidential campaign run. And so they put up these plaques of the stop and frisk. This is a site where Mike Bloomberg's stop and frisk policy was enforced, and somebody was sent to jail. And they just put this plaque up in like alleyways in New York.
And just really,
so they just put them up all over the
beaten path places.
Yeah, and these places where this like, I mean, it could have
Someone
happened.
was arrested here for
but it's like
a
this
turnstile in the subway underground.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. Yeah,
that's pretty fun.
Anyway, I don't know. Yeah, I like the account a lot. It's pretty pretty on the nose and honest, and I like that. It's a breath of fresh air in the midst of, what is sure to be yet another turbulent election season.
Maybe. Just maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, yeah, follow definitely the experts for your the hard-hitting news of today in the world of politics, where we'll break down the controversial and
really nuanced,
important news notes that you need to know.
Really giving you the dirty details of breaking down the X's and O's of groundbreaking legislation.
That's right. Oh, I'm saying it. Just word for where I found I think fuck. I don't remember if I sent it to you. I don't think I did. I found an 8.5 hour. It was a 8.5 hour Bernie Sanders filibuster, but it was put underneath lo-fi hip hop. And it's yeah, so it's Bernie Sanders filibustering for 8.5 hours, but there's like a lo-fi hip hop loop on
like that,
the entire time.
The girl, the anime girl with the headphones on that's studying the whole time, just kind of has a watermark, or it's like some superimposed somehow. Oh, why? Is that what it is?
Oh, well, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Am I close? I must be close.
Let me just send you the link here. Here we go. Can I just share this? Oh, I gotta click on it. Share.
Pasta.
Copy.
All right.
Control. There we go. It's the thumbnail.
Yeah, no.
Oh, fuck. So you might not get it if you just click on it. I think on the... Nope. Is it on the sidebar? Off to the right?
Oh, I was talking about coronavirus.
Fuck. Damn. Let me see if I can just... Anyway. Well, not to spend too much time on the air talking about this. It's just the thumbnail is that girl studying, but it's Bernie Sanders with the headphones over.
I can do the mental. I got the image in my head.
Okay.
Very cool.
Anyway. All right. Well, one last note to wrap up this episode on.
You have 2 TVs
Eric
now?
bought a new TV for our house. Yeah, but we don't. I mean, we don't use the new one.
You got to set that other one up, and you can get both games on at the same time.
Because it's 55 inches, so it's. Well, that's exactly what we talked about. Because now we have 3 TVs in our household. I know. We can set up everything. We can set up our computers. Eric has
you can have
2
8
MacBooks.
Screens going when there's only 4 games.
I have a Surface Pro.
And you can have the
we
boss
can
button
get
up.
all the different angles.
You're home.
And
yeah, isn't it?
Man, the boss button is like one of the best things. Yeah. I mean, I definitely last year I didn't do it a whole lot actually. I think there was one day though where it might have been like one of those first
Yep,
days
that first
because
Thursday,
like those
Friday's the
first
best.
couple days are probably the most exciting. Yeah, and so I think one of those days maybe it might have been that Friday. I definitely watched quite a bit
We used
of
to do that shit all the time in high school. We just like,
basketball
I'm
at
gonna go to
work.
the library during silent work time and just watch basketball. Not subtle at all. The giant Mac screens that we had in the
Shit.
computer lab in the library there in high school. College, whatever, it didn't fucking matter. You just do it. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be the
Right,
best if you
everybody's
had
watching
like
basketball.
someone
Nobody's
sitting
studying
like
at
in a
the
lecture or
library.
something. You had some guy in front of you in the hall have like one game up. You kind of like half see the screen, and it's like, okay, I can keep an eye on that game, and I got this game on my computer right here.
Yeah. I saw a video of a couple people in Clap for Credit playing Fortnite together. Like they dropped in the same server. They're
And I
fucking
think
playing
about this
duos in the
sometime,
middle
like
of lecture.
kind of related, like when I'm watching. So the Wisconsin basketball team is on a bit of a tear here. They got good all of a sudden. They're gonna win the Big Ten if they win tomorrow against Indiana. So
Yeah.
that's cool. Just gonna fuck around and win. But like, man, there goes Dimitri Trice.
Yes.
There goes Aleem Ford. Man, I had Mike's class with them. Yeah, they were both in there sitting up at the top, not paying attention.
Both of them? Hell yeah. Nice. Very cool.
Dude.
Uh,
You have classes with him?
yeah, I was thinking the same thing when Kobe King transferred. It's like, oh. No, but I remember he came up to Mike's office a couple times when I was
Me and Michael
working there.
Ballard. Now, did you watch that game on the other night? Dude, Michael Ballard and I had I feel like we had a
Yeah.
really long
yeah.
conversation, but without saying a word. Okay, maybe that doesn't make any sense.
What?
Okay, so when I was traveling with the team my senior year,
No.
for the NCAA tournament, we were in Buffalo for the first 2 rounds. I spent so much time in the pool, in the pool room, sitting at a table just doing homework because I had a lot of shit I had to do. And he was also in there a lot of times by himself, just doing school stuff. I think. I feel like I looked at him I think we made eye contact a bunch, oh, hey, you're in here again. Never actually spoke, but it was just oh, this guy didn't know he was on the team. Are you part of this? Don't you guys have your own I thought don't you have your own spot where you can do stuff, not just in the pool here in this hotel? So that's the beginning and end of all my interactions with Michael Ballard, just the pool in Buffalo, New York.
Every now and then I'd look over at Michael Ballard sitting there across the way.
That's all we
make
need
eye
to say.
contact. Everything that needed to be said was said. And that eternal gaze into Michael Ballard's eyes.
Maybe I don't like. To
I
think he
found
himself
myself.
too.
Yeah. Just a
Yeah, my
couple of
pencil.
guys being dudes.
I have this really bad habit of chewing on my pens and pencils.
Well,
And it was a month later, and I had that pencil out that I was using in there. It's oh, this tastes like chlorine. Everything stank like chlorine. My backpack, all my pencils and paper and notebooks. Because I spent days in there.
ooh.
Well, not days, just hours.
Hours. Oh, man. Well, in any case,
Not
all
a
right.
thing.
Anything else that we want to discuss here? Fantastic. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode. Like, share, subscribe,
share, favorite,
comment,
pin this tweet. Bye.
Yeah.